Okay, now we're recording on today's episode about the geology of this area that I live in. So this whole entire massive rock right here is a breccia. And you can see that it's a breccia type stone because of the rocks that it has in it. Yeah, they're everywhere. Everywhere you look, you'll see, the edges of stones protruding out of it. And this is in a volcanic ash kind of matrix. Yeah. You see a good look at it right there. See, so this is a chunk of breccia that's right here in this area. Now, let's go look at some other stones. Yeah. Here's a view of that breccia flow from the bottom. From the bottom of it, and still it goes down below our feet. I don't know how deep it goes. We're just seeing a very tip edge of it, like the tip of an iceberg. Yeah, so not only was this area inundated by volcanic activity, it was also ripped apart by glaciers and ocean wave activity from being flooded. See more stones right there in the corner. You can see them sticking out. Yeah, it just continues down that way quite a distance. And this here is a piece of granite. You can see the feldspar shining in the sun, giving off its little reflections. So yeah, this is one of the globular or granular. Yeah, it's a globular or a granular type granite. You see, it almost has a sandy grain look to it right there. That's not sand. It's quartz crystals and feldspar, other stuff. You can see there's that breccia rock is right up there, and then come right down here to the, further down the hill, and this is sticking out of the mass. So somewhere between here and there is the divider line between the granite and that breccia up there, that volcanic flow that's sitting on top of it. And yeah, so it'll be somewhere between here and up there, at some level across there in stratification. There'll be a seam line between the two. Now we're good to go. Okay. So as you see, we're in a really hilly landscape right here. And that ridge of breccia is right over there, behind them trees. And so this road is lined with drop stones that were found locally, and they just brought them here to set them up along the road. And at one time, pioneers had settled here, and people lived here for a long time. So there are some stone fences that are set up, stone property lines. But all the stone that was here came from here. There's not much of it that was mined somewhere else and brought in. Only in places where actual homes were built. Some of those sites have imported stone. Look at this one right here. Yeah, it's got the same sort of thing. It's like a magmatic stone that has pebbles, you know, like river pebbles, sands, you know, into angular broken rocks in it. The faster a rock cools, the smaller those granules will be. And as you can see in this stone right here, they're just absolutely huge. Back up this way. I'm gonna walk back up this way and I'll show you some stone up there. I gotta cut the camera. Well, no, actually I won't. Keep the camera rolling. Very nice day today, so I decided to come out and do some rock mongering. The feeder dike is where I go to find most of my stones, and the stone that I'm showing you right here actually came from a feeder dike. And a feeder dike is a crack in the earth where basalt and other very hot magma comes up out of the earth, as you can see in the illustrations here. And this stone right here, the black part on the left hand side, is where the actual crack was and all the liquid magma was coming up out of it. And then it has a very nice green stone in the center, and on the right hand side that rock is red. Most of the very best ocean jaspers come from the condition that is caused by this kind of rifting going on. You know, because the magma will erupt up into a seafloor, it'll melt the stone, and it makes some of the nicest ocean jaspers that you can find. So to explain this a little bit better to you, I'll show you how these stones are put together. And once you see how they melt and then transform and then turn into the precious stones that we like to use to make things out of, you'll be amazed. So look at this. It's got a slab of pink rock on that side. A green stripe that's as wide as my foot. And then it has a black tip on it. Whether that's like obsidian, it could be like an obsidian or basalt. You know, like a basaltic, glassy, super glassy kind of basaltic type rock. So that one right there is very nice. You see, use my foot for scale. You can see how big it is. That one would make a really nice carving. Yeah. But those kind of stones, those type of stones that I'm showing you, this kind of stone right here, the only way it can form is for the earth to break open and then minerals to invade the crack and seal it back shut again. And usually what helps that process along is magmatic or volcanic activity. You know, like a rift, rift fault. You know, a feeder dike. They call it a feeder dike. So there's feeder dikes in this area. And wherever a feeder dike forms, you'll find stones that look like this. Like this stone right here. And you know what a feeder dike does is it allows deep earth magma to rise up to the surface and, you know, spread out. So that brings precious materials up with it. It brings gold up with it. You know, all the good stuff comes up from the feeder dikes. And you know, you can easily know that there was a feeder dike in the area, in this area, because you'll find stones that look like this. You'll find the evidence of the feeder dike itself. And so you find that, then you can start finding really nice stones. Let me show you this piece of granite right here. You can see the gray crystals in it. You see the feldspar. You see the granular, almost sandy texture of it. You see all the quartz crystals, little white quartz crystals in it. Yeah. Well, yeah, this is just a loose slab of stone. It's a drop stone that came from somewhere right around here. But, you know, it's grown under this tree. And this tree far supersedes the industrial era, you know. So in other words, this tree was grown on top of that rock back in the early 1800s, if not earlier than that even. So there's some gneiss right up here, and there's two different kinds of gneiss that appear in our area. And one of them is the foliated gneiss, which was smashed really hard deep within the earth, and it spreads the crystals out and aligns them all in a single direction. Right? So it arranges it like sheets in a book. And there's a piece of that gneiss right up here. I'm going to show you. And the reason I'm teaching you this is because it'll enable you to more easily find the types of stone that you need to make your tools and you find ornaments out of it. Yeah, the gneiss is up here. It's a little bit of a walk to it, so we'll just walk and talk while I'm doing there. See that dark stripe in it? That's where the tin is at. It's a very important piece of stone right there. If you want to make bronze with copper, you'll need that stone right there. See, it's kind of orange and beige colored. Kind of like, I don't know, tiger fur is what it looks like. And then it has that dark stripe that runs through it. I must have hit the record button and shut it off. That was strange. It just shut off by itself. Otherwise, That's a piece of basalt right there. Yeah, haven't seen any tubulite here in this area yet, but I have seen it elsewhere, especially you get closer to the ocean. Get down closer to the ocean where it's at right now. I found that stone that has, actually it's a sandstone or a mudstone that has wormholes in it, petrified wormholes. It gives the rock a certain look. I haven't seen any of that here yet. That has really, really super fine granules in it. Like that other granite that I showed you had giant crystals in it. And this one has real fine crystals. Look how small they are. Big difference in contrast. This is a piece of the gneiss that I was telling you about. And this is the unfoliated variety. You see the structure in it. It's just random and evenly dispersed. And they're not necessarily stretched and aligned in a single direction. I'm going to show you one that has been stretched and aligned here in just a second when we get to it. Right here. This is a piece of foliated gneiss. And you can even see, the streak pattern in it. You can see how the crystals are pulled out into streaks. See? That streak right there. This is what foliated gneiss looks like. And it varies in actual appearance, from place to place. But it always kind of look like this. It has the same features, just, some of it has more dark stuff and less light stuff, and some of it has more light stuff and less dark stuff, and a combination in between. And you see sitting right next to it is a piece of granite. And you see foliated gneiss, right? And granite right next to each other. And this is a pink granite right here, this one that we're looking at. It's another piece of pink granite. It doesn't have a real dominant pinky kind of look to it, but it is. It's a pink granite. Yeah. So these stones are the stones that mark that boundary, that great unconformity, where stones rose up 15 miles below the surface, and the glaciers ground it all off and left it at a layer that is that granite over there, right? And then that's where our modern world began, to compile from there, from that time forward. So that makes these rocks special. You know, that's why. Another reason why I wanted to show you these rocks is because, you know, they're not just rocks. You know, when these rocks were exposed and came to the surface of the earth, that was in the very earliest time of our beginning. You know, the beginnings of mankind. We kind of coincided with these rocks being scraped off to the surface that they're at, and then new rock being laid on top of it. And in some places you can get right on that actual surface and stand on it and look at it, and it's a really neat thing. You know, to be able to touch history that kind of way, it's really compelling. So I get out and I try to find places where I can see into the ancient past. You know, you see those divider lines. And, you know, it really makes me think a whole lot about our history and what I would like to do with mine. You know, it really does. So yeah, actually there's both kinds of gneiss right here. Both of those are foliated gneiss rocks. And this one here is unfoliated. We got unfoliated gneiss, foliated gneiss, and then the pink granite. Foliated gneiss. Gneiss is, you know, starts out as granite. Starts out as granite like that. Then this stone gets smashed under colossal pressures at a depth of about 15 miles below the surface of the earth. And that pressure, the heat and the pressure and the motion of it being pressed at that depth turns it into this stone right here, which is foliated gneiss. So you're seeing this stone transformed into this stone because of the colossal pressures. So it's really neat to be able to see both stones laying next to each other. You know, it starts out like this and comes out like that. So really, really neat process to think about how that stone transforms from one thing to another, and the pressure that it endures at a depth of 15 miles below the surface. It's incomprehensible how much pressure that is. Yeah, it's like 1,000 elephants standing on the end of a pencil. And that's how much pressure it is exerted onto a single point. That's a lot of pressure. So yeah, this area is really, really special. And just in the fact that it holds remnants of a very, very extensive history of volcanism and glaciation that occurred right here in the eastern part of Massachusetts. In this area that I'm at right now, I'm actually right on the very rim, the outer rim of the Blue Hill Caldera. So you guys can research that. You can look it up on Google. You can look up the Blue Hill Caldera and learn all about the volcanic activity that occurred right here where I'm standing at about 2 billion years ago. So really, really intriguing stuff. Yeah, that moment of silence wasn't too good, but good. How are you? I'm taking photos. I'm making a video. Yeah, no, I'm not surveying nothing right now. Cut that camera. Yeah, so wherever you know the pink granite, you know, when you find the pink granite, you know that goes below that appears below the great unconformity, and then in a lot of places above that unconformity is layers of mudstone, sandstone, breccia, like I was just showing you down there, basalt. That's where all the good stuff is just right above that layer. That's where you find all the good stones that we use to make things out of. So that's where it comes from. Excuse me. So that's the purpose of me making this video today, is to convey that information and help people be able to more easily find the stones that they need. If you know where to look, if you know more about where to look, your chances of finding a stone are far better. You know, than just randomly looking around anywhere, maybe choosing not such good spots. A little bit of knowledge can go a long way. So yeah, geology isn't really that hard to understand, even though the time frames that are involved are huge. Yeah, like the 2 billion years of history is missing from the record. Yeah, like, where did all that go? Where are we going? If we can find it, where we can find it. There has to be places on this earth that still has, you know, portions or all of that 2 billion years of time record still in place. There's one right there. It's got a vein that runs through the center of it. Pink rock with a deep green stripe in it. So that stone would have been fractured, filled in with a host rock, cooled off, and then dug up and dropped where it is today. Shot off prospecting. That was funny. That lady thought I was prospecting. The weird thing is, that's kind of what we're talking about. We were talking about prospecting. The process of prospecting. What we look for, you know? And we look for those feeder dikes. Yeah, that's where the stone that we want can be found. And of course, a feeder dike is a rift. You know, a rift is a separation in the crust where it actually pulls apart, spreads apart. Instead of jamming together, jamming into each other, the crust pulls apart and makes a space in between. And that space has to be filled in with something. So molten magma from the deep earth invades the crack when it opens up and fills it up. And then when it cools off, it has a solid spacer that fills in the gap. and then it can never close up again after that. There's another huge piece of granite right there. You see the granulated surface in it. This one has huge crystals in it too, so it had to have cooled off deep in the earth very, very slowly for the crystals to get that big. The faster a rock cools, the smaller those granules will be. And as you can see in this stone right here, they're just absolutely huge. This is a huge pine tree right here. Got this granite grown into on top of it. So it's been there like that for a couple hundred years, if not longer. Yeah, pretty amazing. So most of the rocks that we're looking at here are metamorphic rocks. Some of them are igneous, like granite. And then we got a lot of metamorphic rock here. And the metamorphic rock that's in this area, a lot of it is drop stones, cast stones that are plow stones. And this area was, a lot of this area was homesteaded at one time. So a lot of these stones are just from this general area and have always been right here in this general area. Like this stone right here, this green one that I'm showing you again, the black end on it. And this stone was in its original position, the black spot in the middle. That's where all the fire was coming up out of the earth at. And where the green stripe is, that's where it was, at one time it was molten, then it cooled off, got cooler, and turned into the green rock. And mixed in with the red rock over there on the other side and made it black in the center. Because you need green and red to make black. So the red rock came from the left side right here, the pink granite. The pink granite has red and white. The red stone from the pink granite mixed with a green stone on this side and made it black. Really cool stuff. But yeah, you can make stones change colors pretty much the same way you do paints. If you know how to mix paint colors and you know how to mix stone colors, you make the same thing. Or clay colors, if you have different colored clays, you can mix them together and change the colors. It's the same thing as painting. Pretty neat science. So yeah, you can literally engineer the color of a stone by using colored stones. Piece of basalt right there. This one has two colors. See the two colors? So a lot of striped rocks like that have two colors. And if you want a decorative stone to keep about yourself, you a lot of people like to have what we call a striper, which is just essentially a stone that has a stripe down the middle, or it'll have a vein that runs through the middle of it. A red rock with a white vein that runs in it. Those would be really nice. You have like this one here. It's a white rock with a green stripe that runs through it. Yeah. White stone with a green vein that runs in it. And at one time, this white rock was the matrix material. It had, there was an earthquake from a volcano down below. Stone cracked open, and then this green stone was able to invade it in a liquid form. And then it cooled off. And then this stone got mined, broken up into pieces, and dropped here at this spot. So, the unpredictability there was that a human mined that stone, broke it up into pieces again, and redistributed it. So if that stone lays there long enough, it'll become covered up by other soil, and it'll turn to stone again. So that stone will be embedded in another matrix. So it kind of makes it like the breccia stone there. All these stones you see laying on the ground right here will eventually become locked up in the soil, and it turns to stone. So it'll become a breccia of sorts. That's a long time from now, though.